Don't blink an eye, because Macho Man is back. I'm back.
Welcome back to another Top 10 Countdown here on BLTV Extra.
I'm going to knock him out. That's all it is to it, and that's the bottom line.
It's been a while since we've done one of these. Okay, it's been 7 years. But better late than never, and this is a series I'd love to finish before I see out my last days reading the Ring magazine while smoking a pipe around the fire.
And it's going to be something that we all will relish in history. Later years, we will reflect nostalgically about these magic moments.
In today's video, we'll be counting down the top 10 greatest boxers of the 1980s. An era following a golden generation of heavyweights, but infamous for birthing some of the most iconic pound-for-pound legends in the sport's history.
Tommy Hearns, he was a bad motherfucker, dude. And then bang, he would hit you with that right hand.
I've done my due diligence with the ranking system, and my criteria will heavily lean toward resume, with a sprinkle of skill, dominance, and personal preference on top.
The majority of it, everything's just bullshit. I just want to fight, and as soon as possible.
Let's get right to it. At number 10, we have one of the greatest phenoms the boxing world has ever seen. A fighter with the complete package. The flawless, faultless Salvador Sanchez.
Mantequilla. Salvador Sanchez, no too much, but I don't see. I don't.
Due to passing away at such a young age, Sanchez doesn't quite have the global recognition as other fighters listed today. But boxing elites and old heads know, with his immaculate technique and awe-inspiring career trajectory, he was on a path to become not only Mexico's greatest ever boxer, but one of the finest that ever laced him up, period.
The best fight I ever saw, honestly, skill-wise, was a guy by the name of Salvador Sanchez.
Sanchez turned pro in 1975, but reached his peak in the early 80s, running rampant through a stacked featherweight division while beating Hall of Fame greats like Wilfredo Gomez and Azuma Nelson. Sanchez made 10 straight world title defenses and was on a run of 25 consecutive victories before he sadly lost his life in an automobile accident at the tender age of 23. It's scary to think what this man would have gone on to achieve.
With Sanchez, this has made him really special to me and everybody else that knows his style. If you're a halfway fighter, decent fighter, you might last the distance. As good as you are, the greater you are, the more he kicks your ass.
Michael the Jinx Spinks takes our number 9 slot for his legendary run at light heavyweight in the mid-80s, which was capped off with an undisputed championship, and then further followed by doing the unthinkable of moving up to heavyweight and dethroning the great Larry Holmes.
Right hand by Spinks. Good right hand by Spinks. Turns his back. That was a good left hand by Spinks, but
Spinks was a workhorse. He had an incredible engine with significant punching power at light heavyweight, contributing to an outstanding 11 world title defenses, defeating fearsome rivals such as Eddie Mustafa Muhammad and Dwight Muhammad Kawhi.
I like Michael Spinks a great deal. I admired him a great deal, watching him as I was a kid. You know what I mean? Having a great deal of admiration for him.
Spinks would deserve a slot on this list if he just called it a day at light heavy, but the fact he moved up and beat Larry Holmes in his first fight at the 200-plus pound division elevates his legacy exponentially.
I have been hit hard by some heavyweights. Found no pleasure in it.
Yes, the fights with Holmes were controversial, but you can't deny his effort in pushing a heavyweight ATG like Holmes all the way and then some. Spinks wasn't the prettiest fighter to watch, but the man's relentless pressure and drive to win every second of every round made him a force to reckon with. Except for Mike Tyson. But, well, it was Mike Tyson. Need I say any more?
It's a poor little guy. And they start feeling sorry for me.
You're milking it.
Yeah.
Similar to Salvador Sanchez, Aaron the Hawk Pryor was another boxer famed for being a perfect all-rounder. His pressure fighting and powerful combination punches were so impressive that it was easy to overlook his immaculate positioning and footwork.
Pryor, perpetual motion. He is right on top of Arguello, who gets off the ropes.
Repping Cincinnati, Pryor endeared to fans around the globe for his frenetic hurricane-like fighting style that has been likened to that of the old-school legend Henry Armstrong and has never been replicated by any prizefighter since. Pryor was a monster at junior middleweight, particularly in the early 80s, as he knocked out every man he fought, including Antonio Cervantes and Alexis Arguello.
Arguello trying to cover up. A smashing right hand. Arguello's helpless against the ropes. Arguello's hands at his side. It's over.
Pryor doesn't have the strongest resume on the list, but he deserves a spot for his incredible all-action style and utter dominance during his prime.
Who are the 5 greatest boxers of all time? We got to go Pernell Whitaker, Roberto Duran, Aaron Pryor.
Yeah.
Aaron Pryor. But the only reason why Aaron Pryor lost the fight was because of drugs. He lost only one fight because of drugs.
Coming in at number 7, in my opinion, the most underrated fighter of his time, which is criminal considering how glaringly obvious his greatness was, Hector Macho Camacho.
I keep telling you, I'm a 3-time champion, because I'm the Macho Man, and I'm dominating the game. It's my time, Macho time!
Camacho is remembered today for his emphatic, outgoing, wild, and extravagant nature, both in and out of the ring. However, underneath all the grandiose showmanship laid raw talent, hand speed, footwork, stamina, all non-negotiably best in class.
That's so beautiful. He hurt.
Target practice with the jab, a good straight left, another series of combinations.
A great show of boxing by Camacho.
Camacho turned pro in 1980 and proceeded to dominate across 3 weight divisions for the entire decade, beating a long list of Hall of Fame legends, all without losing a single time. I would say a 1985 version of Camacho is about as close to perfection as we've seen in a boxing ring for a long time. Because, on top of his exceptional offensive prowess I mentioned earlier, he also had uncanny resilience, drive, and boxing acumen. His fight against Edwin Rosario in 1984 is one of my favorites in history. A night he showed he could box like Mayweather, Ray Leonard, Rocky Graziano, Sugar Ray Robinson. You name it, that kid could do it all when he had to.
Don't blink an eye, because Macho Man is back. I'm back.
We have an absolute freak of nature taking our number 6 slot. A real fan favorite of his time, Thomas the Hitman Hearns.
And a right, that moved Schumer backwards. And a straight right by Hearns. Not only moved him backwards, single bobbled him. Down he goes. Another one, a right hand by Hearns.
Standing at 6'1", with a reach of 78 inches, the same as the heavyweight legend Muhammad Ali, Thomas Hearns was one of the most physically gifted boxers the welterweight, yes, welterweight division had ever seen.
Oh, what a shot! And maybe out the right hand and delivers!
The sheer power this man could naturally generate was ridiculous, but it was then taken to the next level by Emmanuel Stewart of the Kronk, a knockout specialist that transformed a gangly string bean into a force of destruction that wreaked havoc across 5 weight divisions.
Because it was coming out of fucking
Detroit
nowhere.
hitman, Tommy Hearns, he was a bad motherfucker, dude. And then bang, he would hit you with that right hand.
Whether it was welterweight or light heavyweight, Hearns always looked like a guy that was fighting 3 divisions above his opponents. A staple of the 4 Kings alongside Hagler, Leonard, and Duran, you can make a case that Hearns was the most significant group member due to his participation in the saga of fights being the most iconic.
And he caught Hagler with 2 good jabs and a right hand that might have hurt Hagler. Tremendous pace in the first round.
His war with Hagler is regarded as one of the best in boxing history. His rivalry and brilliant 2-fight saga with Ray Leonard proved his boxing ability, which was topped off by the destruction of Duran, which solidified his status as the hardest single puncher of the 4 Kings, making the man that had previously beaten the great Ray Leonard look unworthy of sharing the ring with him.
On instinct, though, Gil. He's just hanging a big right hand. That's it, Tim. The fight's over, Tim. A huge right hand by Thomas Hearns.
Larry Holmes takes our number 5 slot for his long-reigning dominance as heavyweight champion past the 70s golden generation.
Good jab by Larry Holmes.
All you gotta do is say my name out loud, fuck the crowd, pull the thing out.
Oh, the long right hand. Well, look at that. He's beaten down.
I thought as time passed, the world would have realized just how great of a champion Holmes was. But here we are in 2023, and you still get a sense that, for whatever reason, people don't want to acknowledge his masterful boxing skills and resume that puts supposed modern-day greats to shame.
But it wasn't no Larry Holmes was a legendary fighter. And if he was at his best, I couldn't stand a chance. He was a great fighter. I admire him very much.
Holmes became champion in the late 70s, beating Ken Norton in arguably one of the greatest 15-round title fights in heavyweight history. However, for me at least, his run in the early 80s of beating what appeared to be every undefeated heavyweight on planet Earth is what makes his extensive title reign the second best in history behind Muhammad Ali's.
Larry Holmes will kill you. Literally kill you if you let him.
Holmes used his perfect fundamentals to dismantle and the careers of talented rising contenders such as Trevor Berbick, Ronaldo Snipes, Jerry Cooney, Tim Witherspoon, Bone Crusher Smith, and Carl the Truth Williams, all of which had a combined record of 110-2.
There's no one in the world today could beat me.
If you don't like Larry because he beat an aging Ali, fine. But don't try to pass off your criticism for that by downplaying what any real boxing fan will tell you was one of the best runs as a champion across all weight divisions.
If we're gonna go heavyweights, I'm gonna be honest, I got to go Larry Holmes. Ooh. Because Larry Holmes beat everybody in this era. That man had the basic fundamentals. He had the jab, and then Larry Holmes came back and beat a lot of young guys too. Even though Tyson got him, he beat Ray Mercer.
Little introduction is needed for our number 4 pick, as the heavyweight icon Mike Tyson is one of the most famous athletes of all time based purely on the spectacle of his talents. You often hear the words phenom or generational talent being thrown around every time a young athlete makes his mark, but in Mike's case, describing him as either or both is still a disservice. This was a once-in-a-lifetime level of greatness.
That's it. There you go. Now you got again. Who's the last guy to stop? Time. Very good. That's right.
It was clear out of the gate that a teenage Tyson was going to be a major player in the heavyweight division, stopping most of his opponents in 1 or 2 rounds while displaying near-on perfect technique to impress his trainer and mentor, Cus D'Amato.
Slightly for Tyson. But how low he gets to duck under those punches.
However, what I find most impressive looking back on his career is the way he maintained the same level of dominance once he stepped up to championship level.
Bangs the body. Wow, with that uppercut is Tyson. Catches him with a right left hook, and he goes down. We've got a brand new heavyweight champion of the world.
Becoming a champion at 21 years of age, Tyson broke the record for becoming the youngest heavyweight title holder in history, a feat that no one has come close to matching nearly 40 years on. Belts and accolades aside, people will most fondly remember Tyson for his ferocious fighting style, explosive and direct, but in the same breath, efficient and dynamic.
My shots are so accurate and so precise, you have to go down because it's a lure when Mike Tyson hits you.
An absolute dynamo, he could hit like a truck, but was built in an old-school way to absorb as much as he gave. Tyson also had a very good resume, stacked with the who's who of the division's entirety, but it's often put down because he beat them so emphatically. I'd recommend my video series on BLTV Classic if you want to learn more about Iron Mike's career and why I hold him in such high regard.
I want to know your top 5 all-time greatest.
Number 2 is going to be the man with a 19-inch neck, the man with quads that made people say, don't skip leg day, the man with a chest that made you have to get your suits tailored, the beast that will knock you out of a left or right. You know what I mean? Iron Mike Tyson.
Coming in at number 3, we have Mr. Mexico himself, the grand champion, Julio Cesar Chavez.
He's about to go down again. Chavez landing with left and right.
This was probably my most difficult fighter to rank because he was so exceptional in both the 80s and 90s. However, the fact he finished his 89 season with a record of 67-0 makes it a challenging feat to overlook for this list, despite some of his most notable wins coming down the line.
Unbelievable!
Chavez was a boxing extraordinaire, a relentless pressure fighter that could fight a phone booth-style fight, remarkably, without getting touched. As the old-timers would say, you couldn't hit him in the backside with a handful of buckshot.
Parisi missing widely with the combination, and Chavez again invites him in. And look at this head movement by Chavez. Chavez just playing.
At one point, Chavez had an 87-0 record, which fans often point to as his most impressive feat. But for me, it was the names next to the W's that cemented his legacy. Roger Mayweather, knockout. Edwin Rosario, knockout. Jose Ramirez, knockout. Meldrick Taylor, knockout. And the list goes on and on. There wasn't a single fight that the fans wanted to see that he didn't entertain, spanning 25 years across 5 weight divisions.
And Chavez is one of the best. He could be the best Mexican fighter of all time. He's right there.
After some tough deliberation, marvelous Marvin Hagler takes our number 2 slot. A middleweight king whose career was forged in blood, guts, and an unwavering will to succeed. Hagler endured a rough start to his career, suffering 2 of his 3 losses during the preliminary stages of his professional journey. However, it was the adversity early on that created a monster, a man 100% committed to being the best version of himself every time he entered the ring. No cutting corners, fully dedicated to training and destroying the men put in front of him.
I realize now what they want to see. Every championship fight, they want to see a knockout. They want to see somebody knocked down. They want to see somebody beat up. So, hey, they're talking to Marvin Hagler. They're talking to the right man.
Hagler had solid fundamentals and crushing punching power. Still, it was his brutal toughness that sapped the souls of his competition, leaving them no option but to either stand and trade with the monster or run for the hills in the hope that he would run out of steam. Spoiler alert, he never did.
Well, Bobby just stands and Hagler won't move back. A test of wills, finally, the continual assault. Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Hagler won the WBA and WBC middleweight title in 1980 and then proceeded to reign as champion for the next 7 years, taking on all comers, including the remaining bunch of the 4 kings. Hagler beat Duran by decision and Hearns by knockout, but unfortunately lost a contested decision to his arch-rival Sugar Ray Leonard in his very last outing as a pro. For the fans that thought he won the fight, they saw his exit in the game as retiring on top, unbeaten on merit for over 12 years.
I am one of the greatest, and when I'm done with this game, I would like to go down in history as the same way.
Regardless, Hagler was the embodiment of how far hard work can take you in any given walk of life. He had an elite mentality. It wasn't that second place wasn't good enough. Second place wasn't an option.
Marvin Hagler made you want to just get out of your house and go running in the snow. He was so mentally strong, he had an iron chin, and his discipline was impeccable.
Coming in at number 1, the sweetest sugar since Ray Robinson, the only man I could put my chest out and proclaim would have whooped Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s behind, the meanest nice guy in the sport's history, Mr. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Ray Leonard.
We doing numbers like the box office. Nigga, you ain't trying to box, then stop talking.
So long, Timber.
My mind is on Hannibal Leg, demand of respect. I'm taking your life, let you hand me a check.
Sugar Ray Leonard was pure boxing excellence from the very first moment he entered the ring. He had the hand and foot speed of a flyweight, with the ability to crack and ring IQ to control even the most arduous competition.
The first fight. A good right by Leonard. A good right. Stuck Duran. Duran in a fury. Going after Leonard.
Ray Leonard burst onto the scene in the late 70s and was instantly branded as a like-for-like stand-in for a then-aging and over-the-hill Muhammad Ali. He had big boots to fill, but did it with flying colors, wiping the floor with credible contenders and champions from start to finish in his short and stacked 40-fight career.
Really hurt him right there. 10 seconds.
He's hurt right here.
Got him down. Maloney is down. First time he's ever been knocked down.
Leonard will best be remembered as the most successful of the four kings, being the only fighter in the group to hold victories over the other three. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of controversial decisions along the path, but he just had a way of looking like he was in control even while he was being walked down by some of the most relentless pressure power punchers in the sport's history. And for what it's worth, I thought he beat Hagler fair and square in '84 and Hearns in their officially scored draw rematch in '89.
Hey man, Ray Leonard's one of my favorite fighters. Just his skills, his talent, and a lot of people don't recognize his grit.
The only drawback for Leonard was the fact he was a diva, seen as an angel by the boxing public but a master manipulator by his peers. One minute, he would offer Hagler the chance of a lifetime to fight him. The next, he would decide to retire for undisclosed reasons, all while maintaining the position of the A-side fighter regardless of his inactivity. Either way, Leonard will be long remembered as one of the best fighters to ever lace him up, a symbol of raw talent and the epitome of first-rate athletic ability.
So when I see you, I love you. It's like I worship you. You could throw two punches that sound like one. He would throw a punch. You can hear them. There were two, but they sound like in one punch. You know how magnificent your speed have to be for that? Oh, no. You inspired me so much. I saw you fight to Red. It changed my life. This is what I'm going to be. Because of you. Who are you? You might not think you're nobody. I love you. I've been jealous of you all my life. Because you're so beautiful. You're stupid. You don't even understand, man. You're immoral to me. I can't even talk.
Thanks for watching. If you're wondering why certain fighters weren't listed, check out my video for the list of the 90s boxers, where I explain how only one fighter can represent each decade. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, this is BLTV Extra, signing off.